How does Elkanah provide us another example about the dangers of polygamy? This is the question that we seek to answer today as we begin our verse-by-verse study of the book of 1 Samuel on walking through the Bible. Today we're going to be discussing 1 Samuel chapter 1, verses 1 to 7. Before we do that, let's read the passage. If you have a Bible with you, turn to 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 1. But if you don't have a Bible, don't worry. Just follow along with us on the screen. The version that we'll be reading from is the New King James Version. So 1 Samuel chapter 1, beginning at verse 1. Now there was a certain man of Ramathaim-Zophim, of the mountains of Ephraim, and his name was Elkanah, the son of Joram, the son of Elihu, the son of Tohu, the son of Zuph, an Ephraimite. And he had 2 wives. The name of one was Hannah, and the name of the other was Peninniah. Peninniah had children, but Hannah had no children. This man went up from his city yearly to worship and sacrifice to the Lord of hosts in Shiloh. Also the 2 sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, the priests of the Lord, were there. And whenever the time came for Elkanah to make an offering, he would give portions to Peninniah his wife and to all her sons and daughters. But to Hannah he would give a double portion, for he loved Hannah, although the Lord had closed her womb. And her rival also provoked her severely, to make her miserable, because the Lord had closed her womb. So it was, year by year, when she went up to the house of the Lord, that she provoked her. Therefore she wept and did not eat. At the beginning of 1 Samuel, we're getting the history of the man whom this book is named after, Samuel. What we find is that Samuel's father is named Elkanah. Elkanah lives in Ramathaim-Zophim of the mountains of Ephraim. This name has given much confusion to commentators because this is the only mention of this city in the Bible. However, in chapter 2, we're going to find that Elkanah returned to his house in Ramah, meaning that it is very likely that Ramathaim-Zophim is referring to that place just under a different name. The next question is, which Ramah? There is a Ramah that is located within the tribe of Benjamin, but verse 1 identifies this city with the mountains of Ephraim, seemingly implying that there was a Ramah there too. However, this confusion would go away if we remember back to the story of Deborah, where in Judges 4 verse 5 we read, "And she would sit under the palm tree of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in the mountains of Ephraim, and the children of Israel came up to her for judgment." Bethel laid right on the border between Ephraim and Benjamin, and the Ramah there was the Ramah in Benjamin. But notice, the mountains were called the mountains of Ephraim, even though they extended out of Ephraim's borders. Thus, Elkanah being in Ramah, which is in the mountains of Ephraim, should not confuse us if we look at all the scripture in order to clear up any questions we might have. Elkanah was the son of Joram, the son of Elihu, the son of Tohu, the son of Zuph, an Ephraimite. This would seem to imply that Elkanah was of the tribe of Ephraim. However, from 1 Chronicles chapter 6, verses 22 to 28, we get a fuller picture of Elkanah's lineage. The sons of Kohath were Aminadab his son, Korah his son, Aser his son, Elkanah his son, Biasaph his son, Aser his son, Tahath his son, Uriel his son, Uzziah his son, and Shaul his son. The sons of Elkanah were Amasai and Ahimoth. As for Elkanah, the sons of Elkanah were Zophai his son, Nahath his son, Eliab his son, Jehoram his son, and Elkanah his son. The sons of Samuel were Joel the firstborn, and Abijah the second. From 1 Chronicles, we learn that Elkanah is a Levite, specifically a Kohathite, which makes sense as to why Samuel, Elkanah's son, would end up working with the priests in the temple. Why then was Elkanah called an Ephraimite if he was actually a Levite? For that, let's go back and reread Joshua 21, verses 4 and 5. Now the lot came out for the families of the Kohathites, and the children of Aaron the priest, who were of the Levites, had 13 cities by lot from the tribe of Judah, from the tribe of Simeon, and from the tribe of Benjamin. The rest of the children of Kohath had 10 cities by lot from the families of the tribe of Ephraim, from the tribe of Dan, and from the half-tribe of Manasseh. This is why reading even those parts of Scripture with all the names is useful. From 1 Chronicles 6, Elkanah was a Kohathite, but not of the house of Aaron, so his family at the time would have been given cities either in Ephraim, Dan, or the half-tribe of Manasseh. It is evident that Elkanah's family was given cities in Ephraim. And just like today, people who live in a country might be known as from that country, even though their family might have originally been someplace else. So too with the Levites. At some point in time, Elkanah's family migrated down to Ramah. For what reason, we do not know. But that his family was originally from Ephraim, though he was a Levite, is why Elkanah is referred to as an Ephraimite. We also learn that Elkanah had two wives, Hannah and Peninniah. Since Hannah appears first, we can assume that he married her first, meaning that Peninniah was married second. Elkanah seems to be a righteous man in that he goes every year to the tabernacle to worship God as the law of Moses prescribed. How then could he be considered righteous while having two wives at the same time? As we know, God intended for one man to marry one woman until death parts them. To these people I might ask, how was Abraham declared righteous, or Jacob, or later David? It is not my job to declare one righteous. That is God's job, and he does so by his own grace and mercy. I need to obey God in what he tells me today, and not try to whittle on God's end of the stick, or question God for his choices. But from what Jesus said in Matthew 19, verse 8, it appears that God tolerated polygamy in Israel because of the hardness of their hearts. He didn't endorse it anywhere, nor did he forbid it in Leviticus 18, like he banned certain other types of marital relationships that were once allowed. That changed under the new covenant, for polygamy is no longer tolerated or accepted by God. So that's the law we have to follow if we want to receive God's grace. But just because God tolerated doesn't mean he recommended it, nor did it mean that those who practiced it didn't suffer consequences for their actions. And as was with the case with Jacob's wives, Leah and Rachel, there was a rivalry between the wives surrounding children of Elkanah and the affection for their husband. Hannah, like Rachel, was barren and could have no children, yet she was Elkanah's favorite. Peninniah, though, could have children, and yet was not Elkanah's favorite. This dynamic caused Peninniah to provoke Hannah severely and make her miserable because she could not have children. And Elkanah seemingly did nothing about it, something we'll discuss further, the Lord willing, in the next lesson. But as we see here, God knows man better than we know ourselves, and therefore knows what's best for us. He knows and designed marital relationships to be close, and that as such, 3 people or more won't work, because neither spouse will get the attention they need. And because of sin, we tend to show favoritism, even among small groups. This may not always be intentional, but many times it is. So for those who might feel hard done by because God doesn't tolerate polygamy today under the new covenant, please read stories like that of Elkanah in order to learn why you shouldn't want to practice polygamy in the first place. With that, our time is up for today. The Lord willing, we hope you'll join us for tomorrow's discussion of 1 Samuel chapter 1, verses 8 to 18, as we continue our walk through the Bible, one verse at a time. Thank you for watching today's episode. We hope that you found it edifying and ask that you not only subscribe to our channel and podcast, but that you like and share this episode among your friends, so that the saving gospel of Jesus Christ can go out to the whole world.